Hello, it's Jamin Mayer with Parker Tree Service. I just want to do a quick video on stressed ash trees, or even any stressed tree, and what that looks like. I'm just gonna use this branch as an example of what I see from an arborist perspective. Okay, so a lot of sucker growth, and sucker is the informal way to say epicormic shoots. So epicormic shoots are a sign of stress. So you can see in this just little localized area, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 little spots in this little area. And then go over here to this next one. There's about half a dozen. The problem that I see too, or it's kind of conflicting for me, is what to leave behind. Because sometimes, believe it or not, dead stuff fills in space. If you remove all of it, it's going to look like you just stripped it and you did something like of a disservice. I'm picking out a branch here and using this as an illustration of what's easy to work on. Let's see if I can make some cuts here, nice and simple. So, oops, sorry, move the camera there. I'm gonna make this branch just look a little bit better. All right, and I'm gonna take away much of the sucker growth. And sorry, I got my left hand on my camera, my right hand on my, it's actually my phone, so more than just a camera, right? So I'm gonna kind of point out some things where I just made, I don't know, a fair amount of cuts with my hand pruners there, right? In my opinion, a lot of that sucker growth actually shouldn't be there, meaning if it weren't stressed in the first place, the tree wouldn't have grown this excessive amount of suckers. And that means because these trees are stressed, a lot of the suckers are dying. And so sometimes we want to look at thinning out suckers if they are alive. And I don't know, say for example this one, that's a sucker that's alive. I might take that out just to make that look a little bit better. In my opinion, you see that crowded area over there, there's this bottom branch right where my blade is. It's kind of a bottom branch, it grows down, it's crowded. If I made just that one cut, I would be done with basically this branch. In the past, I'm talking about say 3+ years ago, in the past it would have been that simple and that fast. I might have made 2 to 3 cuts on this branch to, number one, take off leverage out towards the tips, so make a reduction cut or a thinning cut to alleviate the weight out there, and or if it was just a slightly crowded between 2 levels or 2 layers of branches. So again, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 cuts. All right, so these stress trees are causing us to make sometimes a dozen or even 2 dozen cuts in, and likely using a little hand pruner. Depends on your arborist, right? Sometimes an arborist will only use one tool, maybe even not use anything to get further out, not even use his or her ability to climb out and go get stuff, as it's kind of hard to do some of this stuff. And if you're keen on knowing how to make the right collar cut, it's actually very difficult, say, to do that. Like what I'm pointing out there, number one, I'll either have to climb out there and go get it. 2, I'll have to use a pull tool, and pull tools are a pain in the butt to use while you're in the tree. And if I look on this branch, look on the top side of this branch, and look at the growth, there's dozens of live shoots in here. So if I were actually prescribed to thin this tree, I would be thinning out shoots that shouldn't have been there in the first place. So again, it's taking longer, it's more laborious. The more you cut, more a tree guy cuts in a tree, the more it costs, right? Because you have to do ground cleanup and you have to dispose. So in this case, sometimes I like to use a tarp to capture all these dead little sticks and twigs, so we don't have to waste a ton of time raking sticks and twigs in the grass. It takes a ton of time to rake sticks and twigs out of the grass. It takes some setup, but the investment on our job site setup time is worth it. It's also worth it for the quality of cleanup, so that way there's less junk on the ground, so someone doesn't have to mow through that or look at it, whatever. So anyway, I wanted to explain why the cost for some of these ash trees that are under stress could be actually 2 to 3 times the cost compared to maybe, to be fair, 3 to 5 years ago. Because that's what I'm seeing, is I'm seeing my labor go up, and so I have to bump that cost to the client. So of course the debate would be, is it worth it, and all that stuff. That's just a different story, but the purpose of this video is just to explain why the cost can go up. And I'm only using one branch here as an example, when we have to navigate and prune hundreds of branches in a tree, on a big, large, mature tree. Something like this is only about a 25-foot tall tree. I'll use comparison of a very large, high vaulted ceiling, single story home over there as a background, if I can get that. Anyway, this is, just dozens and dozens of branches to work on that have 2 to 3 times more work in them, period. That's it.